We're going to look at finding the derivative of our r of x here. Now we're going to be using the product rule. The product rule is our derivative equal to f prime of x times g plus fx times g prime of x. And I have labeled our f and g here. You can also think about this being the first part and this being the second part. And we're basically taking the derivative of the first part, we're multiplying it by the second part, and then to this we are going to add the first part multiplied by the derivative of the second part. So that's another way to look at it. So we need to find two things. We know our f of x and we know our g of x. So let's look for our f prime of x. F prime of x is going to be equal to, taking the derivative of this first part, we're going to use the general format where we say that, well, if we have some x of n, the derivative of this is going to be n out front times our x raised to the n minus 1. So that means that this is going to have a 15 times x squared minus a 9. Now we need to solve for our g prime of x. Our g prime of x is going to be a little bit different. We see that we have a radical here. And with this radical, it's important to take into account that we can't take the derivative of it like this. What we need to do is rewrite this. So we're going to have our 2x squared plus 7x, and we need to have it in its exponent form. And this is just going to be 1/2. If we had like a 3 out front, it would be 1/3. So now, continuing to write this, actually taking the derivative, so this is the deriving step, we are going to do our minus 1 here, and then just bring this out front. So we have our 1/2 times 2x squared plus 7x raised to the negative 1/2. And let's rewrite this because we have this negative in the exponent and we don't want a negative. So if we want to change the sign of what it is, we are just going to change whether it's in the numerator or the denominator. Since it's in the numerator and it has a negative exponent, we're just going to move it to the denominator where it's going to have a positive exponent. So that's going to be what we have here. Now we're not done here once we do this. We need to use the chain rule. And the reason why we need to use the chain rule is because we have this radical, but we also have something in the radical. So when we use the chain rule, if I were to write this out here, we have the square root over 2x squared plus 7x. Well, when we take the derivative, right, we're going to get rid of the square root. So then we're just left with this 2x squared plus 7x. But we see that we still have these x's in here that we haven't taken the derivative of yet. So we need to take this derivative. Continuing this, we are going to get a 4x plus 7. And that is the derivative for that. So now we can just plug in all of our values. Our r prime of x, which is the derivative, is going to be equal to our f prime of x. So we're going to have 15x squared minus 9. And then we are going to multiply this by our g of x, which is just the square root of our 2x squared plus 7x. Plus, we have our f of x, which is just going to be 5x cubed minus 9 of x. And then we have our g prime of x. So we're going to have our 4x plus 7 here. And then in our denominator, we're going to have our 2 square root of our 2x squared plus 7x. Now, this is our answer. If we wanted to, we could simplify it. I like not having any denominators, so we're just going to multiply everything by 2 square root of 2x squared plus 7x. Should have a parenthesis right there. So rewriting this out, we're going to get our r prime of x is equal to, we're going to still have our 15x squared minus 9. And then inside of here, if we multiply two things, the exact same things that are in the square root, it's just going to be that itself, what's inside of it. So we're going to have a 2, because of this 2, times a 2x squared plus 7x, because these square roots are going to combine. And that's just going to give us a 4x squared plus 14x. If we wanted to, we could factor this and this together. I'm not going to here. It probably will simplify more when we keep on going, but that's besides the point. We're just trying to make it a little bit smaller. So now we are going to see that this would cancel out with this. So we just have our numerator as 5x cubed minus 9x. And then we have our 4x plus 7. And so that is going to be it for this problem. This would be our simplified answer. And if we had to plug in any value for x, if we were given any value, we could plug it in and solve for it.